Trash.
Hallo, ihr lieben Leute da draußen. Es geht mal wieder los. This is something that will go down in history. Okay, calm down. I never thought that I would film a video like this, and I don't know why I did it now, because I've been German for a long time. But for some reason, recently when I was at home visiting my mom, I was like, maybe I should eat more German food, because actually German food is good, most of it. Also, I've gotten super many requests of you asking me to eat German food for a day, and I don't do half-ass shit, so we're gonna do it 7 days, of course. But I never felt the urge to actually do it because I was like, boring. Actually, I don't think it is, because the German cuisine has more facets than I thought. Let's be honest, it's mostly meat and potatoes, but in general, it's still sometimes exciting. I'm not really making the best intro here.
I get it.
Maybe I just came to terms with the fact that I am German, that I will always be German. That is okay. Just not for the Germans, because if the Germans hear me talk English with a German accent, they're gonna go absolutely fucking crazy about that. That's just a German thing to do. Because that German accent, it just triggers people, apparently. What German accent? Don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a German accent. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, this video happened. I only ate German food for 7 days straight, and it was way more of a challenge than I thought it would be, because since I am German, you would think, oh, it's like a home match. But there's so much that I didn't even know about that I learned through this video. That's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna eat German food. Spoiler, there's gonna be a lot of meat. That was so unprofessional.
This is just a...
Let's get into my last week. I feel like now I need to detox fast, real fast. I don't want to talk too bad about this week, because it also kind of made me feel happy, because I made a lot of recipes from my childhood that my grandma made. I didn't make it as good as she did, but I don't think it's possible to even make a recipe as good as your grandma, even if you have her recipe. It's just not possible. Let's get into this video. But first of all, here's a little reminder that I last week posted my album snippet on my music channel. I don't care if you're sick of hearing this. Okay, it's my second time mentioning it, so calm down. I posted the snippet, which is basically all of the songs that are going to be on the album, but like just snippets of it. Obviously, I'm not going to post the whole album. Please check that out, because it's my fucking debut album that will come out 16th of August. Which is in less than a month. And I am going crazy. You can buy my album box right now. This is also a little reminder for that. You can basically pre-sale English. You can basically pre-order it, and you can also pre-save my album on Spotify and Apple Music and all of that for free. That link is also in the description. All of the links are down there, baby. And if you want to support me, I mean, I hope you want to support me either way, even if the songs are shitty. The songs are not shitty. I love the songs, don't get me wrong. I need to stop talking. I'm just a bit nervous, that's all. Do you know what I mean? Please check that out. And now let's get into my German week. Day number 1, and we're gonna start with a recipe that is from my childhood. I thought I want to dive into this week very smoothly. I'm not gonna know any of the English names of the recipes. Here's the close. English. I'm making yeast dumplings with chocolate sauce. That sounds so bad. Don't say anything against it, because that really is a recipe from my granny. I even asked her for the recipe. She telegrammed it to me. So we got the real grandma recipe over here, everyone. And she also told me that she actually uses yeast dumplings from the frozen section, so she doesn't make them herself. Totally fine for me. I'm actually kind of glad that I don't have to make them myself. I do. Chili. In meine Kamera gerieben mit seiner nassen Schnauze. Then you're just gonna steam your yeast dumplings. Do you see my amazing construction? How I glued the sieve to the pot? my mind. While these are steaming, we're gonna make the chocolate sauce. And yes, it might seem a little weird to make a chocolate sauce with yeast dumplings, but hear me out. You're gonna use 250 milliliters of milk and 250 milliliters of heavy cream. Then put some chocolate in there, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, whatever you want. And then you're gonna let it cook. You always gotta be careful with cooking milk because she will go crazy. She will go from 0 to 100 real fast. Next, you're gonna use some pudding pulver, pudding powder. I don't know what you call this in English. You make pudding with this powder. That's all I can tell you. Just a little bit. Oh. You just have to see how much you want to add if you want the chocolate sauce to be more thick or on the thin side. I like it to be thick because my granny also made it kind of thick. Stop being weird about my grandma. And here we have our beautiful end product, the yeast dumplings with the chocolate sauce. I told you this video is gonna be weird to some of y'all. But I wonder if anybody also ate this. I don't want to know if you're weirded out by this. I want to know if you know this recipe. Because I can't be the only one eating this, right? I know that that was actually my brother's favorite meal and my grandma made it for lunch after school. I mean, I love sweet stuff, but if I want to eat lunch, then I do want to eat savory stuff. But this is still, for me, lunch for some reason. I don't know. It's probably because my grandma always made it for lunch. I think I actually did a good job. It tasted almost identical to how I remember it from my grandma. The only thing is I think she used more milk chocolate rather than dark chocolate because mine was a little bit bitter. But I think if you use milk chocolate, it will not be bitter. So if you ever want to make that, that's my advice for you. Hey, it's yummy. Hey. For lunch, we're gonna dive into the south of Germany to Munich. And we're gonna make some brezel. I think a brezel is probably one of the most popular foods from Germany. I think everybody who watches this right now knows brezeln. And if you don't, I am quite shook. I couldn't be bothered, so I just bought them from the frozen section. It's fine. They still taste good. I actually don't taste the difference between like self-made brezeln and frozen brezeln. I'm not super passionate about brezeln. Don't tell the Germans, but it's not my favorite thing ever. And then we're gonna have some Münchner Weißwurst. It is a white sausage. That is all I can tell you. No, I literally can't tell you anything about the sausage. You put it into hot water and then just let it soak in there for like 10 minutes. You don't even cook it. You just let it get hot. And that's a Weißwurst. I think this is like literally the easiest recipe ever, because the brezel you just put into the oven and the Weißwurst you just put into a pot. Then the most important part of this meal is the sweet mustard. I don't know if sweet mustard is also a German thing, but I think it actually is. And of course you need your butter. Butter is also very, very important in the German kitchen. And yeah, this is the food. I actually ate this in Vanessa's video recently, the exact recipe.
Ich saug es raus.
So that was also what inspired me to eat this now. And when it comes to the Weißwurst, you have to peel it, which is not pleasant for one's eye. I see that. You dip it into the sweet mustard and that's it. That's the magic, baby. Oh, and our drink for the night is, of course, Paulaner Spezi, which is a mixture of Coke and Fanta. Not the brands, you know, it's orange lemonade together with... Is there another word for Coca-Cola? Anyway, you get my point again. It's my favorite drink ever, and it's so German. It's so German. Even the name Spezi, I get it. I have to say that this is not the most romantic dinner. I get that, but it is effective. Also, I don't even put the salt on my brezel because I'm not crazy about the salt. I feel like I'm already being a bad German. A bad German. Anyway, that was my first day. I only had lunch and dinner because I had to go German food shopping in the morning for everything that I will be eating this whole week. But that's okay. I was full. Day number 2, and I'm gonna admit to you that I had something planned for breakfast which I was not able to eat. I don't know why, but my tummy did not like what I ate the day before. I really had some issues. So I originally planned that I was gonna eat rote Grütze for breakfast. How am I gonna explain that to you? It is this. and it's kind of like pudding. It's red and tastes like fruit. It's not Wackelpudding, it's not Götterspeise, it's this. This is all I can tell you. So I had to skip that because in the morning my tummy felt so weird and my toilet also did not like it.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It was absolutely awful. I've never seen something like that.
No breakfast. For lunch, my tummy also still felt weird, so I was thinking to eat something that might be easy on the tummy. And by that, I mean Pellkartoffeln, which is another word for just eating potatoes. This is something my mom always used to make. It's not really a lot to make. You literally just have to cook your potatoes, and then you're gonna eat it together with Leberwurst and butter. I mean, you see what Leberwurst is. It's kind of this pate kind of stuff. Sausage paste. Bro. I'm also gonna add some chives, and that is literally it. That is my meal. And if you think that looks so boring and so not a meal, it does look boring, but to me this is super much a meal and I absolutely love it. I don't know how I could describe it to you. It's just so simple, but that is what makes it good. And like the mix of the potato with the Leberwurst and the butter, it just creates a whole new sensation in your mouth, and it just is the pure comfort. I also love to just eat some cream cheese with my potatoes, but this is a classic combination, how my mom always made it for us. Yeah, but this is my lunch and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. What can I say?
It bangs!
Ich glaube jetzt gleich gewittert es richtig dolle. For dinner, we're gonna make falscher Hase. This is actually a recipe that my grandma always made. Who else? It's called wrong rabbit, or maybe like false rabbit. After the war, when my grandma's family was still very poor. I mean, she's not rich now, but like back then, obviously it was very much of a different situation. So they made false rabbit, which is basically a roast, a big pile of meat, but it's actually just minced meat, and just made it look like a rabbit roast because that's what they would eat for roast dinner on Sunday. We first gonna just bake some eggs. You're gonna soak a bread roll in some water. You're gonna cut some onion and some parsley into some fine pieces, and then you're gonna mix both of that together with some minced meat. Then you're gonna take your water-soaked bread roll and you're just gonna squeeze it out. Also put it into that mixture, then a teaspoon of mustard and some
Majoran.
What even is that in English? Majoran? Majoran's mask. Majoran's mask.
Marjoram.
Oh. Are you sure about that?
Marjoram.
Marjoram? So you're gonna use some marjoram, of course some salt and some pepper, and then you're also gonna put an egg into it. Now comes a gross part. I still remember when my mom made like meatballs or something, or like bouletten. We always helped her, and when I had to do this part, I hated it. I dragged it out so much. I don't want to do this, but I have to. Somebody has to do it, and it's not gonna be Vincent, so... And then it's time to assemble our mistaken rabbit roast. You don't have to put the eggs in there, but I think that is a very classic way of serving this. I don't think we did that. Like, I don't remember an egg in my rabbit, but I think that's the classic way to do it. So I'm also gonna do that, and then you're just gonna form this huge blob of meat. Put it into the oven for about an hour, and then I decided to also make some sauce. This is, I think, comparable to gravy. Bratensoße, brown roast sauce. Man, some of these things you really can't translate. Super easy to make. Just put it into some water and cook it. There you have your German gravy. And here it is, our false rabbit roast dinner. I have to say it smelled really good, but it didn't look really good. With the egg in there, it just looks kind of gross. And of course, we're gonna eat it with some potatoes. I still had some left from my lunch. And this is what you have to do with potatoes in Germany. When you eat it as a side dish, you have to mash it with your fork. Not like mashed potatoes, just like mash it. Then assemble it all together with your German gravy sauce, and there we have it. Usually you would also have a third side dish like peas, carrots, red cabbage, sauerkraut. But I was like, I don't need none of that shit because my false rabbit is gonna carry it. It's gonna carry everything. I don't need side dishes. This is it. And I have to say, it was good. I think I could have seasoned my rabbit roast a bit more. It was a bit bland. And also I could have mixed it a bit better because sometimes I just had like a little chunk of bread roll that I didn't mix it properly. But it was still a solid dish. It made me full. Love the potatoes, love the sauce. This tasted so German, so savory German. I can't no more. Day number 3, and for breakfast I'm gonna make Amerita. I would describe Amerita as a sad version of French toast, a poor version of French toast. Even though it's not necessarily so much different, it definitely still has a different vibe. If you want to translate it word by word, it means poor night. An old legend tells us from very simple nights, they were just poor, okay? They were poor. They had to eat bread, and sometimes they just threw this piece of bread into the pan to make it a bit more exciting. And this is why we call this recipe poor night. I forgot to film how I made the mixture that I dipped the bread into. It's literally just milk with some eggs and also some sugar if you want. I didn't put sugar in because I think my mom also didn't. Her Amerita was always a bit more savory, but the most important part is that you use just some leftover bread, whole grain bread or something, because my mom always used this bread because it was more healthy.
Help.
This is what it looks like. I think it looks pretty accurate how I remember it in my memory. And then we're gonna garnish it with some sugar and some cinnamon. Didn't I just say I ate it savory? I actually don't remember. I think it was with sugar. For this one, I have to say that it was not so good.
Es schmeckt einfach nach Haferbrei, weil das Toast so weich geworden ist.
I think my biggest problem was the consistency because it was kind of just mushy, mushy, mushy. Like there was no texture. It literally tasted like porridge without a lot of taste.
Oh.
I think my mom definitely somehow made it different because this can't be it. This cannot be it. Then for lunch, I had to do like a quick lunch because I was kind of on a go. So I had some sauerkraut. Yeah! Also some of my leftover false rabbit because obviously I made a very big piece of meat yesterday. This was the perfect mix. I also just ate it cold. Actually, the false rabbit was kind of better than when it was warm. And sauerkraut, what can I say? It just hits. I live for sauerkraut. I think sauerkraut is the German kimchi. Or let's say it is the kimchi for us Germans. It is literally just fermented cabbage, just not spicy. Like there's not so much flavor, but that's just what we do. We don't eat very spicy. We don't eat very crazy. We just eat poor and bland. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, that day was super, super busy, so I didn't have time to really cook. So I just ordered some currywurst. Sometimes you just have to do that. This is what I ordered. There's also so many currywurst places here. You can order currywurst anywhere. Also, currywurst is not spicy. It's more like fruity. It's very tomato-y and very sweet. I think this one was maybe even a little too sweet, even though I do like my currywurst sauce to be sweet, but it was still solid. I also had these very hot fries to go with it.
Oh, ich habe nie in meinem Leben so heiße Pommes in der Hand gehabt.
And I thought I'm gonna make it super classic, and I also ordered some beer.
Erdinger.
If you know me, you know that I absolutely despise beer.
Erdinger.
For the vibe of it all, maybe it's gonna like work with the currywurst. I was wrong. But this was still a very solid dinner, and I think it was a pretty good day. The Amerita was not the best, but still solid. Day number 4, and we're gonna eat breakfast, and we're gonna eat Quarkkeulchen. This is what they look like. I've never eaten these. These are not part of my German life. And they're basically potato pancakes with a lot of quark. Quark is like this very thick cream cheese type of vibe. Curdled cream? That is what Quarkkeulchen are. Quark-Clubinis. Let's not translate that. For that, I'm gonna peel my very dirty organic potatoes. I've never seen such dirty potatoes in my life. We're gonna cut them into little pieces and then we're gonna cook them for a long time. Like 20-30 minutes even, because we wanna mash them in the end and then they can be super soft. Then we're gonna add some quark, a lot of quark actually, some flour and a little bit of sugar and some yellow part of the egg. Guys, I'm telling you, the German is too strong in this video. Egg yolk, okay? Then a pinch of salt, and then you're gonna mix it all together into some kind of firm dough. Not super firm, but also not super liquid. It should be easy to form the pancakes with it. Put some flour onto your working space, and then you can form the shapes that you want. Make sure they're not too thick. I think mine were a little too thick. And then just pan fry them for a certain amount of time. This is what they look like when they are done. You gotta garnish them with some powdered sugar and of course some applesauce. This is me realizing that I've been looking like shit this whole video and it's not getting any better.
I'm ugly and I'm proud!
I have to say, as I think they were a little too thick, they were still very raw in the center. Maybe they're supposed to be, I don't know. I've never heard of these before in my life. I think I did something wrong. They were kind of bland. I have to say, the last one, Vincent ate it and he really liked it, so maybe it's just me. But I don't think Quarkkeulchen are for me. For lunch, we're gonna eat some Leberkäse. This is what Leberkäse looks like, and it is... Don't ask me what it is, please. Google Translator tells me it's meatloaf. No, please. That is something super German. You can't translate it. I mean, it is meat. It's not like Spam. Guys, I don't know how to describe this to you. This is what we're gonna eat, and for that, we're gonna cook some onions because I was feeling crazy.
You're crazy, girl.
I also bought this vegan Leberkäse. I've never tried this before, but I thought as I'm consuming a lot of meat in this video, maybe just try a vegan alternative here and there. I also put this one into the pan, and I have to say the smell and look of it is so authentic, like you couldn't even tell that this is vegan. I also made a Laugenbrötchen to go with it, which is kind of like a bread roll dressed as a brezel. Also ignore this. I don't know what this is in the oven. It's from Vincent. And then we're already gonna assemble it. I'm also gonna put some mayo on there because I felt like it would be a little too dry without it. Also put your sweet mustard on there. We already know that, little queen. And the onions. And then the vegan Leberkäse. Here is your Leberkäse sandwich. I really liked it. The Leberkäse was very salty. It is always salty, but this vegan version extremely salty.
Es ist aber salzig.
I have to say it was also a little bit dry, even though I put a lot of mayo and mustard on there.
Bisschen dry.
I think it was the Laugenbrötchen, but it was still yummy.
Hallo.
Not as good as an actual Leberkäse bread roll from the meat seller, but definitely a very good alternative.
Kann man machen. Kann man machen.
And for dinner we're gonna make Käsespätzle.
Spätzle. Love it.
This is what Käsespätzle look like. I don't think you can even call it pasta. Spätzle is a thing on its own. And then you also put a lot of cheese in there. That is Käsespätzle. Also love this so much as a child. So much. Again, we're gonna cut ourselves an onion.
Messer ist zu klein. Ich bin wie ein Kind. Sorry, Chili.
Yeah, I just added a whole package of cream in there.
Intensiv.
And then also some parsley, and you're just gonna let this thing cook for a little bit. Of course, also put some salt and pepper. Don't put too much salt because the cheese that you're gonna put in there is already gonna have some salt in it. I'm gonna put Emmentaler, which is a very aromatic kind of cheese. Like way more aromatic than, for example, Gouda. But don't put all of it in, just a little bit, because I don't want it to be a cheese sauce. I want it to be full of cheese. You have to find the balance. Then you're gonna put put the Käsespätzle in. After working the Spätzle into the cream sauce, you're gonna put some more cheese in there. And that's basically, this is your Käsespätzle, baby. It looks so good. And guys, it didn't just look good, it also tasted phenomenal. It was so worth it. I don't know what it was worth it because this basically just took me like 10 minutes, but this recipe alone made this whole video worth it because it was so good.
I take this over mac and cheese any day.
I don't know how many people eat it with cream and how many people don't. If you eat Käsespätzle, let me know how to eat them correctly, if it's with cream or without cream.
I think these are the best spätzle that I've ever eaten. I have to give myself some props. It's those moments where you realize you are alive. Spätzle and a Spezi. Perfect combo.
That was an absolute spectacular dinner. And now let's get to day number 5. For breakfast on day number 5, we're gonna make milk pasta. It is a super easy recipe, which I thought, with just 4 ingredients. And it is my childhood. My grandma made this so much, and it's just such a food that makes children happy because it's pasta with sweet milk. Again, like a dessert that you eat for lunch. I want to make it the authentic way that my grandma made it. You're just gonna cook your pasta. It usually should be like horn pasta. Is that what you call it? Just don't make like spaghetti. That really is weird. You're weird, okay? You can obviously also cook the pasta in the milk, but I was too scared because I've had bad experiences with cooking milk. So I'm just gonna make it separately, and while the pasta is cooking, I'm gonna make my sauce, which is literally just milk with sugar and a little bit of vanilla sugar. And even the vanilla sugar is not really necessary. I cooked the pasta for like 10 to 15 minutes, and then I put it into the milk and also let it cook in the milk for another 10 to 15 minutes. And you can see that I again have some struggles. I just cannot cook stuff in milk. I'm also gonna add some cinnamon. I don't think you would have to add that, but I feel like my grandma did. This is what it looked like after even 10 more minutes of cooking it in the milk. And now I'm gonna eat my milk pasta. I'm very, very excited because I feel like it's gonna bring back some memories, and it did. Again, I have to say it didn't taste the exact same as the recipe from my grandma. I also didn't ask her for the recipe beforehand. I don't know why I didn't do that. This was kind of me just freehanding this recipe how I thought it would be. It was still very, very delicious. I don't know, there's just something so comforting about this food that just warms your heart from within. It's so much different than if you were to just eat soup. Like the sweet milk just really hugs your body from the inside. I don't know, maybe it's because we once all drank the milk from our mom's titties. It just makes us feel good again to drink warm milk. I'm sorry. But I actually found out how my grandma really made this recipe. And she cooks the pasta in the milk for 30 minutes. No cooking in the water. That's just for idiots. And then she also puts the pot full of pasta and milk into her bed. And lets it cook there in the bed.
Wow, das ist aber eine perfekte gerollte Nudel. Sie ist so lang.
It was delicious and also very filling. Very, very filling. Like, I was full for such a long time. And that is also why I didn't really eat lunch and then just ate something for coffee and tea. We're gonna make kalter Hund. And kalter Hund is translated to cold dog, which is this cake. I don't even know if you can call it a cake because it certainly does not bake. And it's basically just chocolate. But this was also a big part of my childhood and I'm still obsessed with it. I really remember eating this at a friend's house, or my mom made it for my friends and me. I can also understand why children love it because it is basically just chocolate as a cake. So I made the kalter Hund one day before. That was still the day before because it needs to be in the fridge for a long time. It's 1 a.m. and now we're gonna make cold dog. Ich hab auf die Linse gespuckt. you're gonna need some milk chocolate, but this is the ones that you use for baking.
Couverture.
The ones you use for baking. Then also 1 whole bar of dark chocolate couverture. And you're gonna melt the chocolate in a water bath. A very important part of this recipe is the coconut fat. Oh, Jesus. Cocoa fat. Not to confuse it with coconut oil. It's definitely something different. It's so much. So much. This whole block of coconut fat goes into this.
250 Gramm, das ist ja übelst viel.
I know that I did this water bath wrong.
Das ist hier vielleicht ein Spiel mit dem Feuer, ey.
I never do this. And Vincent told me that in a water bath, the bigger bowl should not even be touching the water. It's just basically being steamed. And I didn't know that. I thought you just put a bowl into water and it just floats there like this. Baking is not my flake. But in the end, it still melted the chocolate, so it worked. It's the Naomi way to do it. It was just a little complicated. Then we're gonna let this chocolate mixture cool down, and meanwhile we're gonna mix some eggs with some powdered sugar and some cocoa powder and just mixu until it's some kind of chocolate paste. And then you're gonna slowly, in like 6 steps, add the melted chocolate to your chocolate paste. This part is really tricky because you really have to take your time with it because the chocolate is still very hot. I think I didn't let it cool down enough, to be honest. And that is how also my dough turned a bit weird because the temperatures just weren't right. Like, look, what is this? That looks like shit.
Kleiner Foot.
Unfortunately, I couldn't change that. I fucked up again. I just had to keep going because I am not gonna do that again. We're gonna put some cling foil into this cake tray. And now comes the layering. You're gonna start with the chocolate layer. Then you're gonna put some butter cookies on top, just plain butter cookies. Then again, chocolate layer. Then again, some butter cookies. Then again, chocolate layer. You can basically do as many as you can with your dough. Just top it off with butter cookies. Oh, it makes me really want to eat this again right now. Then just wrap it like a present. Worry about your future because you already know that you fucked up. And then the next day, this is what it looks like. It should be completely hardened in your fridge. As I fucked up, the coconut fat kind of separated. We had this weird white buildup on the outer parts of the cake. It was absolutely disgusting. But you know me, I just pretended like it wasn't there. I cut it off and then honestly, it looked okay. Definitely not the prettiest kalter Hund that I've seen in my life, but what counts is the taste and what it looks like from the inside because it actually looked really good from the inside. The layers were almost even and I actually am quite happy with it. I thought it was gonna turn out way worse. Also, the taste, immaculate. Absolutely amazing. It really tasted super authentic. I honestly don't know what you can do wrong with this cake. I mean, I did something wrong, but flavor-wise, there is not many ingredients in there. It is basically just chocolate with a little bit of cookie, but it is so good. It is so effective. I would really urge you to make this for your child, for yourself. I love it. Have in mind that you can't eat a lot. I ate 2 pieces and I was feeling absolutely horrible afterwards.
And then she came back.
For dinner, we have something on the menu that is not quite my thing. It is grünkohl with pinkel. This is grünkohl. This is something you always eat around fall time, winter time. This is pinkel. This is a very special type of sausage that you always eat in combination with the grünkohl. But this is actually a recipe that you always eat at Christmas markets and just around winter time. So that's also why it was not possible for me to get fresh grünkohl. So I just got a prepped grünkohl, basically, one that is already packaged. I know it's not really the fancy way, it's not the cute way, but sometimes a girl has to do what she gotta do. It says that you're just supposed to warm it up. You can warm it up in the microwave or in the pan. It really does not look so pretty. I realized that. And I also had no idea how to prepare the sausages because there were no instructions. So I just threw them in there.
Hätte ich die doch anbraten sollen? Ich weiß es nicht.
I think this is actually how you would also get it at the Christmas market. I don't know. And here are some aesthetic shots of my grünkohl mit pinkel. I don't know how to break it to you, but that was not good. I don't want to be... The grünkohl was not really good. I really think you have to eat it fresh. This packaged version of it was really not good. Also, I had some struggles with the pinke because I didn't know if you were supposed to peel it because it looked like they were peelable.
Do I peel her? Somebody help me. Do I peel Pinker?
It also didn't taste much better without the peel. It just had a bit of a weird consistency suddenly.
I don't think you're peeling that.
So I left the peel on, but then it was kind of hard to chew. And I don't know, it was all a very difficult meal, even though it was probably the easiest meal to prepare. But I don't think I will ever be a grünkohl girly. The grünkohl is not for me. And if you want to know what exactly is in the sausage, it is like smoked sausage, but there's also some porridge in there, like some wheat. This is not my favorite.
Guys, my 7 days German food week is over. Chill.
Spicy! Even spicier! Day 6. For breakfast, we're gonna eat Ofenschlupfer. I've never heard of this before, not only you, don't worry. This is what it looks like, and it's basically a apple bread casserole. I'm telling you, the Germans really use their bread that they still have in the cupboard, even if it's dry as fuck. In that case, you really have to use old bread rolls, and you have to first of all cut it into little pieces. And apparently you also have to work out in order to be able to do that, because that was no easy task. Then you're gonna peel your apples. I think I used like 4 in the end, so you're gonna need a lot of apples. Cut them into really small pieces. And then we're again gonna make a mixture out of egg and milk. So kind of like Amerita French toast kind of vibe, just a little more sugar, I would say. Mix it all together, and then you're gonna butter your casserole container. And then we're gonna do the same thing as we did with the cold dog cake. We're gonna layer both layers. First the bread, then the apple, then the bread, then the apple. And then in the end, you're gonna soak all of it in your milk mixture. That was actually kind of satisfying because I just knew how dry the bread was, and I knew how moisturous it's gonna get with the milk. Then top it off with some breadcrumbs and some sugar, and also some pieces of butter. Y'all, I don't make the recipes, okay? Also, I don't accept butter slander in this household. I love me some butter. I can't deny it. Honestly, the best part about a piece of bread with butter and marmalade is the butter. I always put more butter than Nutella. Fight me. If you put butter on your bread while it's still warm and you let the butter melt, and you let the butter melt, and then you put your toppings onto the bread. How dare you insult butter like this? I literally sometimes put my toasted bread into the fridge so it gets cold, so I can then put butter on and the butter doesn't melt. Put it into the oven for about an hour, and this is what it looks like after. Honestly, I had no idea what to expect. For me, this was kind of weird because I've never heard of this recipe before. I just found it on the interwebs. This is what it looks like, and you're supposed to eat it with some vanilla sauce. Unfortunately, mine was expired since 2022. So I just had to use a substitute that I still had there, which was this vanilla protein drink, which actually really tastes like vanilla sauce. Like, it's a very good dupe. I have to say, this was surprisingly good. Like, you literally forget that there's just old bread roll in there. Almost tastes like apple pie with a lot of fantasy, but it really has the same character. And I think this is also, again, something that the Germans made after the war when they were poor and they still wanted that sensation of having an apple pie. This is what they did because it's much cheaper with just using old bread, and it was surprisingly delicious. A really, really good breakfast. I didn't really have lunch that day. It was Sunday, and Sunday is like my craziest editing day. I didn't really have time to make something for lunch, so I just had another brezel, but this time with a very typical Bavarian bread spread. It's called Obatsta, and it's basically cheese. It usually is also with caraway chili spice. I was told that that is not so good, so I bought one without it and just with spring onion. I've never tried Obatsta in my life. It is a very, very typical Bavarian bread spread, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked it. It basically tastes like camembert. Literally exactly like camembert, just in a different consistency. And now for dinner, we're gonna make Labskaus. Brace yourself. This is what Labskaus looks like. There is no translation whatsoever. I've never heard of it before. I also learned about it through this video. I think there is a very crazy Labskaus community out there. I feel like this is a very typical Hausmannskost. Without telling you anything about the ingredients, let's just get started. Usually you cut your onions and pan fry onions. I didn't have any onions left, so I had to use spring onions. You're also gonna slice some beetroot and also some pickles. And this here is the most important part of this dish. It is corned beef. I've never in my life eaten corned beef.
Riecht lecker.
Wow! Apparently this is Brazilian corned beef. Is corned beef from Brasilia? That was giving like Peruvian vibes. Peruvian? Made in Peruvia. Anyway, also slice your corned beef. It also looks very processed. I think it's definitely different than Spam though. Then as I said, you're gonna pan fry your onions, the beetroot and the corned beef, but not too much, just very, very soft. Don't make it burn. Just give it a little bit of heat, that's important. Then also, once again, cook some potatoes and you're gonna mash these up as well, but just very roughly. Also, don't forget to make an egg on the side, but now you're gonna mix your potatoes with the corned beef mixture. Also put a little bit of beetroot juice in there and then some salt and pepper and just mix it, but not too much. You don't want like some mush in there. You still want to be able to taste the bits and pieces in there. Why am I saying that? Like, this recipe is a part of my life and I know about it. But this is basically it. This is the main part of the Labskaus, and you're also supposed to eat it with fish. In that case, with rollmops, aka matjes, aka herring, like pickled herring. Who is she, by the way? In my case, I unfortunately bought something else. That was so wrong. You need these pieces like that you could roll. That's why it's called roll mops. Roll mops. I really failed on that fish department. I still put some on there just for the vibe. Garnish it with your egg, 2 pickles, and there you have it. Let's try our Labskaus. I have to say the very first impression of the Labskaus touching the tip of my tongue was vile. It really made me think, what the fuck am I eating here? It tasted like dog food. But the more I ate, the more I got used to the corned beef flavor and I was starting to like it. Not too upset about it. I think it tastes good. But what does not taste good was this fish that I picked. Brava, it was something else rough made. So I just scooched the fish over to the side and just focused on the rest. And as I said, that was actually very delicioso. I liked it. I don't think I will make the fish part with it again, even though I picked the wrong one. Obviously, I don't think I will even like the right one, to be honest with you. But it was good. Day 7. Last day, everyone. For breakfast, we're gonna make Franzbrötchen. It's also from the north of Germany, and it is this particular cinnamon sugary type of bread roll that has kind of like the consistency of a croissant. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite pastries ever, especially if it's made well. I actually found this hack over here, how you make a Franzbrötchen out of these Knack and Back that you can already buy in the supermarket. I was mentally not ready to make a dough from scratch. So you're just gonna roll it out. It was very long, so I had to shorten it a little bit. And then you're gonna spread some melted butter on the surface. Then on top of that, you're gonna spread some cinnamon and sugar. You're gonna roll it all together and cut it into 3 equal pieces. What's important is that you put something into the center of the bread roll and just like press it down so the sides lift up, because this is what a Franzbrötchen looks like. I had troubles with that though. It didn't really work how I wanted it to work.
Oh no.
Then also coat it with some egg wash, and then it's gonna go into the oven for like 10 to 15 minutes. I have to say they do look like croissants rather than Franzbrötchen, because I really did not manage to do this trick with. But actually, looking from this angle, they kind of look like Franzbrötchen. Come on, guys, come on. It tasted phenomenal. Almost like a real Franzbrötchen, even though this was just basic croissant dough. The only bad part was that it wasn't baked through. Like, the dough was still very raw in the center. From the outside, it was super brown, so I didn't want it to burn, so I took it out, but you couldn't eat all of it. I was just able to eat the outer parts that were crispy, but it was completely raw from the inside. My bad. Or maybe this hack did not work. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't, I don't know. For lunch, we're gonna once again cut an onion. Not the tear. Tears of the kingdom. Cut an apple into small pieces.
Aua, mein Auge brennt. Stumpf ist Apfel schmeckt nach Zwiebel. Wie bei Mama.
Cut some radish. And here is our main part. Harzer Käse.
Do you wanna be me? I got a recipe.
Once again, that is some specific cheese that you can't really translate. Harz is specific mountain in Germany, or like mountain area. And apparently this cheese is from there. This cheese is so strong. You should be able to taste it through the screen right now because it's that strong.
Boah, das riecht aber ganz schön doll, du.
But it is full of proteins. I literally came from the gym, so I was like, I'm gonna make a Harzer Käse salad. So let's put it all together. Also, don't forget your mustard, pickles, some oil, some vinegar, and there you have it. This is your Harzer Käse salad. I even put some salt and pepper in it, but believe me, you don't have to. And to go with the Harzer Käse salad, I ate some Mettbrötchen. And if you've been following me for a while, then you know what Mettbrötchen is. It is basically raw minced meat that we eat on a bread roll, together with onions, salt and pepper. That's what the Germans do in their free time. We eat Mett. Alles wird aus Hack gemacht. This is just what we do. I think it is kind of weird, but only now that other people pointed out that it's weird, because I grew up with eating that. So yeah, let's have some Mettbrötchen with Harzer Käse salad.
Looking cute for my Mett. This is the Mett. This is already with onions. I don't know if it's salted and peppered. I don't think it is. I don't know where it comes from that us Germans, we just eat raw meat. A lot of people eat raw meat or raw fish, sashimi, but like raw minced beef is very, very rare. Anyway, cheers. I don't understand why it's so good. But I think I need a bit more onion actually. Some extra onion. Let's try that. Let's try the Harzer Käse salad. Wow, tastes so intense. It is so salty. Now I know why the recipe didn't tell me to salt it. It's so salty. Proteins. Ach, ich liebe Apfelschorle so sehr. Ich verstehe auch nicht, wie Leute Mett essen und das alles zwischen den Zähnen hängen.
Disgusting!
What a great after gym dish. In the afternoon, I thought I'm gonna make my rote Grütze. If you still remember, that was what I couldn't eat on day 2 because my bowel was not
really happy with me.
So I thought, why not make it on the last day and have the rote Grütze for afternoon snack? Obviously, you can also make that from scratch with actual fruit. Nobody does that around here. Nobody, not even my grandma. 8 spoons of water mixed with the contents of this package and some sugar also, and then you're gonna pour in this mixture into some hot water, you know, mix it, that's it. Unfortunately, I did not know that you have to let it cool down in the fridge for a whole night, so I wasn't even able to eat it. I mean, actually it's in the fridge now. I could eat it now. I don't want to let it go to waste. Let me get my rote Grütze. Pretty. Some vanilla sauce, this time for real. Let's try this. It's a bit tasteless. I could have put a bit more sugar. It's not as good as from my grandma. I I even asked her for a recipe and she was like, I never made this. I don't know what you're talking about. But I literally ate the rote Grütze at my grandma's. This does not slap. Are we ready for our last recipe of this video? For dinner, we're gonna make Senfeier, which is translated to mustard eggs. In Germany, we have this one specific mustard sauce, which I don't know if it's just from Germany or if it also exists in other countries. Might. It is just a very creamy sauce of mustard. Then you put some eggs in there and you eat it with potato. German kitchen, baby. I cooked 4 eggs for me, maybe a little bit too much. I think 3 would have been enough. Then you're also gonna cook some potatoes. Look how small those potatoes are. Can you imagine how long it took me to peel those tiny potatoes? Meanwhile, those babies are cooking. You're gonna prepare your sauce. And now it really comes to the nitty-gritty of it all. Because there's actually tiny things that you can fuck up with the sauce. And I'm very scared to make it because this is also a recipe of my heart. Recipe of my childhood and an absolute comfort recipe. I've never made this and I'm scared I'm gonna fuck it up, but it's time to face my fears. First off, you're gonna melt a lot of butter because we're gonna make a roux. Also with some onions. I cut some onions, again, like always. Also put some salt and sugar in there already. Then of course some flour. Gradually put the flour in and then mix it all together. Don't put the heat on too high. This is a roux, you don't want it to roast. In Germany we call it Mehlschwitze, so basically flour sweating. Those 2 ingredients, the butter and the flour, they sweat together because it's hot, so they sweat, but they don't burn. You know what I mean? Look at me being such a chef. So this is what it's gonna look like, and then you're gonna put in some milk and cream. Like you mix the cream and milk beforehand, and you're gonna gradually add that to the roux, so you don't get any clumps, because that's the last thing you want, baby. As soon as you have the desired consistency of your sauce, you're gonna add in the mustard, the most ingredient important of this recipe.
Gruß aus Düsseldorf!
In my case, I had some quite strong mustard. This one is quite spicy, so don't add too much. You really have to see how spicy your mustard is because you don't want it to be overpowering, but you don't want it to be underpowering either. Then just add some salt and pepper. I tried the sauce so many times because this really is a tight game of ingredients. You might have to add some more mustard, maybe add some more sugar if you want it more sweet. I also added a little bit of vinegar for some acid in there, and also a little bit of vegetable powder in the end because I want it to be a little more flavorful. Yeah, I just freestyled this a little bit. I don't know, look at me. And then we're gonna let the sauce cook for a little bit and just expand its aroma. I don't know. And we're gonna make the mashed potatoes. I don't think I have to explain to you how I make mashed potatoes. I mash the potatoes. I added a lot of butter because you now know that I am a butter lover. Add some milk or some heavy cream. I still had some cream left from the sauce and some milk left, so I added both, and I also added a lot of salt. And there you go. This is my potato. Then you're just gonna have to cut your eggs in half and add it to the sauce, and you're done with it. And how you gonna plate it is you're gonna put the potatoes onto your plate, the mashed potatoes, and then dig a little hole in the center or a big hole. In there you're gonna put the eggs with the sauce. Then you basically have a little mustard egg sauce volcano. Guys, I don't want to brag, but I think this sauce turned out really well. I told you I was scared that I'm gonna fuck it up, but I did that. I actually did that.
Lecker. It's mustardy. It's sweet, which I really like. I actually have something important to go with this. I don't know if it's necessarily a good pairing, but Ahoy Brause! Ahoy Brause! This time we're gonna make it the original way and not like a shot like I did with Perry. Whoa. My favorite. I was about to say dandruff, but that is not a flavor. Woodruff flavor is the best. It were better if it were colder. It doesn't get more German then. Ahoy Brause! The perfect ending to this week.
You thought that was the last recipe. I mean, technically it was, but at 12 AM I thought, let's celebrate this week with some jelly bananas. It's just dark chocolate filled with banana flavored jelly. And it's very German, I feel like. And it's very good. So that was the very last thing that I ate in my German week, and I'm kind of glad that it's over. But also, it was not that bad even. Some of it was a little questionable, but I actually learned a lot about Germany. And if I didn't learn about Germany, I just kind of traveled back in time and re-experienced my childhood with these recipes, which was really cool somehow. Also, shout out to my grandma because you really did all of this. Boah, warum werde ich gerade emotional? I don't know why I'm tearing up. I guess I'm just grateful that I got to experience this food in my childhood, and my grandma did all of that, and my mom, and I was always provided, and I don't know. And just the thought of my grandma being like really old already and that she might not be there anymore at some point in my life. Help. Like, this video really made me realize how privileged I am that I had my grandma and my mom cooking me all this, and how normal it was for me to eat it. But right now I finally get to appreciate it. I don't know. I don't want to cry again. Oma, wenn du das schaust, danke, dass du alle Rezepte immer für uns gekocht hast. Auch immer noch tust. Every time I go home, I ask my grandma to make spaghetti with meatballs. I know it's not very German, but it's my favorite food of hers. Her meatballs are unmatched. Who thought that this video would end like this? I don't know, I can just not stop being emotional for some reason. So I'm just gonna end it here. Let me know if you want more of these videos. They're always a hell of work. I think this was definitely my favorite 7 days video that I have ever done. I'm just gonna go now and eat my disgusting rote Grütze. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social media, which is Naomi John on
Instagram,
Naomi John on
TikTok,
and also Naomi John on
Spotify.
I need emotional support, vanilla sauce. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Cheers to German food. Cheers to my grandma. Cheers to my mom. Cheers to all of our grandmas and all of our moms. I love you guys.